name's Token D Rock here with another stream. It is Thursday, January 5th, 9:21 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you're watching us live, crypto has not moved a whole lot here in the past 24 hours. Right now, the market cap's sitting at $818 billion. Bitcoin dominance inching lower to 39.6%. ETH dominance right where it was yesterday, 18.7%. Bitcoin currently holding on to 16,850. Trying to find a footing. Ethereum following suit right around at 1250. Binance coin at 257. Dogecoin 7.25 cents. Cardano sitting at 26.6 cents. Matic below 80 cents once again. Looking at the Dow Jones, we do see some bleedage here on the hourly chart. Could this be a pretty red day, so to speak, leading into the later hours of the day? Time will tell. Typically stonks rebound after crashing towards the opening of the day, but again, time will tell. Things for Bitcoin not looking fantastic. We will need to see whether we break higher than this. In the past 24 hours, Bitcoin did try and go all the way up to 17K, was ultimately rejected. Um, and since then, we've seen Bitcoin go as low as 16,775, roughly speaking. And right now, or sorry, 16,750, pardon me. Right now, it's trying to break higher towards 16,900. Bulls need to put in some work. Again, this ascending triangle did play out. We'll see if this line of support right around 16,750 holds for the bulls. If it doesn't, you can potentially see $16,700 Bitcoin, potentially 16,500 Bitcoin, and the low I'm anticipating, if it were to go this low, is maybe 16,350. But again, time will show us where things are headed. Bitcoin on the daily chart not looking too great again. We are putting this lower high, so to speak, from this high back on December 20th. We went just above 17,000 towards 17,100. Haven't really been able to break 17,000 once again, so not really too bullish on Bitcoin right now. I think we have a lot of downside. I'll get into some news here in a second to show you what I mean, but it does look like DXY is starting to trend upwards. Is this just a bounce, or is this um, the DXY rally we've been waiting to play out? Again, if this rallies to the upside, we will see stonks and crypto get smashed as a result. That's just the name of the game for DXY. This breaks lower, can see stonks and crypto rally. Headed over to Twitter for some news. Bitcoin is permissionless, decentralized, censorship resistant gold 2.0. Glad Altcoin Daily is so bullish to make such a statement about Bitcoin. Bitcoiners filling out 1040s. You do not need to check the box on the front page about cryptocurrencies if you're simply buying and storing it. As long as you're not trading it, don't really need to check that box, essentially. All 21 million Bitcoin were evenly spread out. Each of us would have 263,000 sats, or roughly 0.00263 Bitcoin. And the reality is, a lot of that Bitcoin is gone for good. So if we were to really spread it out, it's probably more towards half this amount, maybe a little bit, maybe three-quarters of this amount. So maybe you'd be sitting right around 200,000 sats instead of this amount, because so much Bitcoin has been lost via people forgetting their passwords and such. Either way, this kind of makes the case that if you do own zero point zero 0.01 Bitcoin down the road, you potentially, with just this small amount, which today is about 170 dollars. It will be enough to make you wealthy and free again. It will increase in value as time and time goes onward. More and more people will adopt Bitcoin. They'll understand the utility. More and more people will view it as an inflation hedge, and as a result, there will be less and less Bitcoin available for purchase. And again, people are fallible, and they will forget their passwords yet again. So probably at some point, we're looking at that 21 million Bitcoin being somewhere closer to 15 or 10 million Bitcoin total in circulation. Singer Lily Allen turned down 200,000 Bitcoin to play live on Second Life. That Bitcoin would have been worth over $3 billion today. Just let that sink in. This artist would have made billions had she taken the offer, and she's now saying that she's an idiot for not taking it. It is what it is. You learn from your mistakes. Hopefully, you won't turn down such a crazy offer yet again. Again, no guarantee she would have gotten the 200,000 Bitcoin, but even if she got just a few hundred or even a few on her hands, she would be sitting pretty content right now. Presenting Bitcoin house heater based on the Bitcoin water heater. The system can fully heat house, water, and hot tub with Bitcoin miners, and this is cheaper than the original heating costs, possibly completely free. The four S9 miners produce up to 6.6 kilowatt uh, h- per hour heat power as immersion and are immersion cooled with Bitcoin and sit in drinks cooler. Sorry, sit in a drinks cooler for best heat insulation. The oil can be heated up to 165 degrees Fahrenheit, enough heating house, pool, and water. All automated with Home Assistant, ESP Home, temperature sensors, relays, and motorized valves. Charts by Grafana for his data and debugging. Each consumer has its own oil loop and control system, which tells the central brain, aka the Home Assistant, about temperatures and status. The brain turns on the miners and pump and decides which loop receives oil and opens the valves. Each loop can run individually or all together. Again, not going to read through all this, but pretty crazy how a Bitcoin miner could potentially heat your home along with the water you use to shower and such, maybe wash plates. Pretty crazy stuff. Over in Switzerland, they have a city called Lugano, saying that citizens and visitors can now live there using only Bitcoin, as hundreds of merchants accept Bitcoin. Here's more or less the map of merchants that are offering and accepting to take Bitcoin. Hotel, food, drink, coffee, pay with Bitcoin. Plenty of merchants over in Lugano offering you to pay in Bitcoin. Pretty cool stuff. You're traveling over there, maybe take advantage. Bitcoin is down 75% from its all time high, and Rich Dad Poor Dad author just said he's excited and buying more. Strong hands. Robert Kiyosaki sees the potential. He was a very big gold bug. Now he sees that Bitcoin is very much in a way like digital gold, hence why he's so bullish on it. Changing the number of wallet addresses is a good indicator of blockchain ecosystem growth. Here's a list of the top 18 L1 and L2 chains with the highest wallet growth in 2022. Not financial advice, not telling you what you should prefer or anything like that, but out of these protocols, I like Phantom considerably. Chainlink's all right. Algorand, I'm a pretty big fan of. Mina protocol's decent. Polygon's decent. Cardano's decent. ETH, you know my feeling about ETH. It's all right. But I'd rather have something like Bitcoin or another smart contract platform like Cardano, for example. But that's just me, not financial advice. Lady of Crypto says she started with $5,100 back in 2019, and by 2021, she quit her job for crypto. She believes that 2023 will be very much like 2019, a time to build and identify new projects that'll give us insane pumps like Solana and X Infinity did in 2021. She says she's accumulating. I'm very much the same mindset. I'm trying to pick out the projects that are building strong during the bear market. That way they can take advantage when everything pops off, possibly mid next year, leading into 2025. You know what the best part about being in crypto is? Get to experience market cycles on steroids played on 10 times fast forward that you can learn to recognize in other asset classes that don't move as fast. Who else is ready for the decade long metals bull run? I love this picture, likes tweet. It's just the classical boomer getting off on hard metals. Uh, I don't know. I just found that pretty comical. Mastercard CEO saying blockchain holds enormous promise despite the controversies in the crypto world. Bro, dot dot dot. This guy oblivious to all the mishaps and controversies that happen with central banks and such. Uh, Pretty comical. I mean, we learned not too long ago that J.P. Morgan Chase was doing dirty business dealings with Mr. Epstein. But again, we're not going to dive into that right now. But pretty comical that they would say something like that. Caroline Ellison is the worst trader of all time. Document claims Alameda CEO Caroline Ellison's FTX margin position was negative $1.3 billion in May 2022. Jesus Christ. Kind of makes me think of this clip.
I think those aren't necessarily a great risk management tool. Trying to think of a good example of a trade where I've lost a ton of money. Well, I don't know. I probably don't want to go into specifics too much with that.
Yeah. You don't want to go. You don't want to go into details about that. Yeah, you just lost $1.3 billion in May 2022. You freaking idiot. Anyways, and other news: U.S. prosecutor tells FTX bankruptcy judge U.S. DOJ in process of seizing Robinhood market shares, subject to BlockFi claims. We learned the other day that pretty much SBF used millions of dollars that he didn't have in his possession, that he didn't rightfully owe, and he used it to basically buy up these Robinhood shares. He owns something like 7.5% of Robinhood at some point. Pretty crazy stuff. Again, just shows you how far the corruption goes. I download the Coinbase wallet so you don't have to. This is the self custody experience being pushed onto over 100 million users. Takeaways: you still trust Coinbase by having this wallet. There's bad security recommendations. Bitcoin avoided like the plague. Shill knob cranked to 11, as we discussed the other day. Coinbase has no issue shilling micro caps, projects with literally only a few $1 million in funding and such. And they show them like there's something like Chainlink or Ethereum. It's pretty laughable. Pretty bad optics for a company as big as Coinbase, but that's just my opinion. New York regulators fined Coinbase $50 million for allowing users to open accounts without proper background checks. Um, and Coinbase says worth it, according to this guy. Chill Pill took a office meme, Jim, saying worth it. Update: DCG is on slash Genesis is under active investigation by the SEC. Sources confirmed there are multiple whistleblowers that have come forward. And what's kind of funny is Magoo kind of fact checks this in some regard. He's like, what are the sources? SEC is doing audits right now on almost every crypto company, which is very true. And what's pretty crazy is a judge granted Celsius Network ownership rights to $4.2 billion in customer crypto deposits. The thing we all feared is essentially happening. Alex Mashinsky and co over at Celsius are basically being able to walk away with billions of customer hard-earned dollars. This is insanity. The court finds that there was a valid contract between Celsius account holders and Celsius, and the contract terms and ambiguously transferred all right and title of digital assets to Celsius. This is pretty much lunacy if you think about it, because many times again, as Rob from Digital Asset News points out, that Celsius's CEO Alex Mashinsky would say all the time that your crypto was your crypto and not Celsius's. Go ahead and post the vids of him saying that below. And this wasn't really in doubt. The terms of service clearly say the crypto you put on network would become their property. But still, a pretty bad look slash optics for Alex Mashinsky to be saying, "Oh, it's not our crypto, it's your crypto, so don't worry about it." He did the whole bait and switcheroo. SEC filed a limited objection to Binance's US's proposed $1 billion acquisition of bankrupt cryptocurrency lender Voyager Digital, per Reuters. As we've discussed many times again, SEC, just like the White House, has met with SBF numerous times. For what reason, we don't know. Supposedly, uh, the White House and SBF were talking about pandemic prevention, because we all know SBF is a great medical expert. We should take everything he says like it's the whole holy Bible or whatever. We should totally trust him. I don't think he has any medical credentials, so I think that's a load of horseshit. But pretty crazy that the SEC is essentially interfering with Binance US's acquisition of Voyager Digital, meaning it's going to be less and less likely that users will get their funds back. Uh, Supposedly, the SEC is claiming that Binance US does not have the money that they claim to have on hand to buy Voyager Digital, and I believe the SEC is making the claim that Binance US cannot use funds from Binance, the parent company, to buy out Voyager Digital. Again, total insanity, retail getting screwed left and right. Anyways, Fed officials agree rate cuts shouldn't happen in 2023, citing risk of inflation accelerating faster than anticipated. Fed's Kashkari saying the Fed must avoid cutting rates prematurely and causing inflation to spike again, as this would be a costly mistake. In today's Fed minutes, the Fed mentioned its 2% inflation target 17 times. That's pretty crazy. This means the Fed will now step up its effort via quiet feelers to economists and favored media to soften up the market for a potential higher target. This account will continue to chronicle it all. Seems the Fed has started off the new year telling us not to get our hopes up. So don't get your feds up. Don't get your hopes up. Don't get your feds up. Um, be prepared for anything. Again, we could see some massive pain here in the markets in this quarter, along with quarter two and probably quarter three. I think quarter four they'll start easing with the interest rates, but again, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm just speculating, thinking out loud. Remember, they just printed $8 trillion, gave you $1,400 stimmy check, and sent the rest of that money to their friends and left you with the high inflation. Kevin McCarthy does not want this going viral. If you were upset when they did this, why are you still supporting this guy? Great question. A lot of rhinos, a lot of Republicans with no values or principles. Again, mirroring the Democrats in many ways, are trying to push forward this guy as the House Speaker. That way, essentially, he can do what the Uniparty wants. Essentially, who should be Speaker of the House? Jim Jordan, Chip Roy, Matt Gaetz, Thomas Massie. I personally voted for Thomas Massie. He's the only politician I would even slightly consider trusting in this country. Even then, it's a stretch for me. Yeah, Thomas Massie is one of the few principled individuals that we have in the House and the Senate. And but I don't believe he's serving right now. So I don't even think he could get this position. I may be wrong, but I believe that he's going to be sworn out of office, but I might be wrong. I need to do some more research on the congressman that I actually think is somewhat principled. There's a few others. That's not to say he's the only one, but by and large, unprincipled POSs, not proof of stake, proof of piece of shit. McCarthy is losing it. He texted one of my colleagues who didn't vote for him. He said, "I am ready to fund an endless war." I'm assuming this is an addition to Ukraine. Kind of curious as to what McCarthy's alluding to. Is it another war the Biden administration is going to start, or claim that Russia started, or China, whoever it may be? Kind of disgusting that he's willing to, add to the suffering of the world just to secure his spot as speaker. Whereas the lie, Nathaniel Banks, back in 1856, was elected speaker on the 133rd ballot. Meanwhile, GOP members like Kevin McCarthy in 2023, after 6 rounds of votes, are literally calling their opponents terrorists. Just let that sink in. Because someone doesn't want you to be House Speaker, oh, well, you're a terrorist. Even though, again, these round of votes have only gone six times in comparison to this guy back in 1856. Six is not too bad. Congress has spent more time picking a House Speaker than they did reading that $1.7 trillion bill they just passed. Crypto Paradigm says it's all so tiresome. It makes you wonder, is it all for show? It's great for the Republican base to challenge Republican politicians. None of these people deserve your blind loyalty after what they did in 2020 with the massive the massive printing of money. They are way too comfortable being socialist money printers. I wholeheartedly agree with Anomaly on that. Jimmy Dore is trending again, this time because the GOP is currently embarrassing everyone who was opposed to force the vote as a strategy. So what you're saying is AOC and the squad could have forced the vote if they had a shred of courage or integrity? Yep, pretty much, but no integrity or courage there with the squad or AOC. Squad couldn't ask Pelosi for one item for vote, yet a number of Republicans are asking Kevin McCarthy for multiple items. Make it make sense. Jimmy Dore was right.
They look kind of foolish now to come back and say, "Oh, damn, force the vote was right. I should have participated in that force the vote town hall after all." Some people have too much pride to do that. So some of them are not going to come back.
Way too many people. She's right on the money. Good job, Sabrina Salvati, for putting two and two together. Unlike many voters on the left and the right, Democrat Party, Republican Party, and every agency in Washington D.C. is a bad joke. Cad Turk gets it. Rogan O'Hanley talks about just wearing the mask, bro. Just get the medical procedure, bro. Just send some money to stop Putin, bro. Just vote for Kevin McCarthy, bro. No, 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 and hell no. Some of us have spines. When I question the efficacy of a medical procedure, I'm labeled as Himmler. When I question that a given cardiac arrest is due to medical procedure, I'm labeled as Himmler. All roads lead to being Himmler. Zero nuance, zero temperance, all tribal hysteria. Very true. Even Elon Musk agrees. Um, 1 in 5,000 young men have heart issues from medical procedure they received yearly. Commotio cordis cases, roughly 15, rarely over age 20. Roughly 1,600 athletes have experienced cardiac arrest since January 2021, 69% of them being fatal. Average athlete cardiacs um, before the medical procedure was administered was roughly 29 per year, but science ignores this. That's why people ask questions. Elon Musk again agrees, saying certainly he thinks it's certainly worth further investigation. CDC and US FDA's safety surveillance systems have been screaming at us for almost 2 years. Here's a chart I've been updating and providing regularly. since June of 2021. When will health officials open their eyes and recognize reality? As we can see, certain medical procedure has had an obscene amount of adverse reaction events, an obscene amount of deaths associated with it, and deaths per year regarding this certain medical procedure is rather disgusting again. But you know, Albora and his buddies keep raking in the big dollars. Exclusive CDC finds hundreds of safety signals for Pfizer Moderna medical procedures. Questions for doctors out there: is there a time frame after having received the medical procedure where you are past the danger point of having a heart issue, or is the medical procedure damage permanent? There are many people who took it back in 2021 because of their job being threatened, along with their livelihoods and such, and they want to know. This, Robert W. Malone, MD, one of the inventors behind the mRNA vaccine, back, I believe, in the 80s or so, he posted this. Very sorry. It's a tweet from Dr. Asim Malhotra, saying, very sorry to learn of the cardiac arrest of Buffalo Bills player Hamlin and praying for his recovery. One obvious question many are asking is whether he had the medical procedure because sudden cardiac death risk in contact sports increased by myocarditis. Myocarditis may increase the risk of life threatening ventricular arrhythmias caused by blunt impact to the chest, particularly in contact sports. Screening prevention measures should be considered to reduce this risk. Yeah, very good question. Again, media is not asking that question because they're paid off by big pharma to not even propose that possibility. But nonetheless, people are putting two and two together. Less than 30 people per year get commotio cordis, mostly by hardball and puck strikes in the U.S., and the average age is 15, which means it's far more likely for a healthy NFL player to be struck by lightning than to get it from a standard tackle to the chest. Yeah. Again, media not putting two and two together. Over in Great Britain, senior medic urges people to not go for long runs as NHS is crippled by A&E waiting times. I wonder why they're crippled by waiting times. Could it be because you assholes literally forced a medical procedure on the nurses that you claimed were, the saviors and such of the pandemic? It's absolute hypocrisy. Like, you guys fired these people, and you guys are now saying, oh well, no one go for long runs because NHS is crippled. What was surprising during COVID wasn't that some of our neighbors turned out to be fascists. What was surprising, just how many there were. A look back at the weird demonization of the unvaccinated during COVID. though the fact that COVID vaccine is, though the fact that medical procedures do not prevent transmission was clear from the outset, this myth was been a primary cause of the venom launched at those who refuse the medical procedure. No shoes, no shirt, no shot, no entry. Go get your medical procedures. Officials in many jurisdictions proposed making the people who refuse to take a medical procedure pay more for health care. Over in Victoria, Australia, where lockdowns were longer than in perhaps many other cities in the world, one politician proposed cutting the people who refuse to take the medical procedure out of the national health system entirely. Particularly disturbing idea that began to gain serious traction among the elite commentariat was to have hospitals triage emergency care to serve those who refuse to take the medical procedure last. A fairly clear cut crime against humanity. And again, look at this woman being attacked for not wearing a mask. 5 hours in a waiting room. 11 staff members came to try and intimidate me. Receptionist said my parents did a bad job in raising me. Manager shouted at me. Security were called. And in the end, they left me alone. Just say no. You have a voice, so use it. This lady's crazy. New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said the quiet part out loud that splitting society into two classes was the whole point. To think people like this are running rampant around the world deciding health policy for you and me, it's absolute lunacy, you guys. We need to make sure that people like her never see positions of power again. Like, just put this in its perspective. What who was the Hitler, or who was the yeah who Hitler literally segregated people into two tiers of society, the have-bees and the have-be-nots, and that's essentially what some of these tyrants like this lady here are perpetuating again. They're repeating Hitler's mistake. They're trying to segregate people off of a medical procedure. Like, how disgusting is this? And this is the 21st century we're living in. We're almost 100 years removed from World War II, yet we're regressing back into old tendencies, old ways. Just think about that. Pretty crazy stuff. Um, this basically, again, I'm not going to go too much into this, but potential pathologic